you know what? Drytron doesn't want to let go of the format, and overall, your format is looking quite interesting. I'll make the 30% of you that have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. We're going to be looking at the Dice and Destiny Canterbury Regional Qualifier here. And we actually have quite a lot of info for this. You're actually going to get your overall representation of the event here. You had 15 branded players and 15 purely players. That's a lot of players, you know, packing in for the new format here. I thought that players weren't supposed to, you know, supposed to have all the cards weekend one. Well, they did, and they were ready to go. Mathmech bringing it up here with the third highest representation overall for 12%, or 12 decks overall. Super Heavy Samurai had 11, and not a single one of those made top cut. That's even more hilarious, actually. We only had 10 Kashtira present in the room. I mean, looking at the overall conversion rate, though, at least Cash made top cut. We also had a Sprite player running it back, or 8 Sprite players. We had 7 Sword Soul in overall representation, which I'm not all that surprised about that. We also had a Runic Net Shuria, the variation pile, and Rika, both with 5 players each. Okay. We had Labyrinth running on into top cut as well. Okay. We had 3 Dragon Link, 2 ABC, 2 Trap Tricks, and just 2 Mana Diem, actually. It's actually kind of sad to see that. And then we also had 24 other decks. Now, if you notice, in the other category, some one-ups kind of creeped through here. Now, your top 8 down here in terms of representation, 2 Dragon Link. So, out of the 3 overall Dragon Link decks in the event, 2 of them made it into top cut. Okay, sure. We had 2 Kashtira decks. That's a bad conversion rate for Kashtira players. Yikes. But I mean, I'm glad to see that the menace is still holding on. We had 1 Tritron player make it into top cut. I really wish I had the list for that, but I don't. Getting info out of this side of the world is a little bit slower. We also had Labyrinth doing its thing. Okay. We had Rika, so planned good stuff. Actually going to look at 2 Rika decks for this video because not only did you have the one in top cut, you also had 1 creep into 17th place as well, which is pretty good. And then we had Sprite actually making its grand appearance down here as well. And I'll be honest with you, Sprite has had some pretty big issues adapting to the evolution of the format here. Now, it's not a bad thing, but it has definitely proven that Sprite needs a little bit more time to kind of get things going here, get its ratios down, and kind of figure out what it wants to do. So overall, breakdown and representation, everything that you would expect. So let's pass on over to Decklist. First deck that we're going to be looking at here is Dragon Link. Now, full disclosure here, I didn't think we were going to see any Dragon Link, like, at all, because of, like, how the format has kind of shifted, but you know what? Bysteel are still pretty good defensive options right now. Who would have guessed that, actually? The Bysteel package getting a little bit more value is good. Also, I mean, let's be honest here, Droll and Ghost Ogre, and even the Giant Space Rock as cards to detour your opponent will win you some free games. And I don't think a lot of people are, you know, really too aware of this, at least just yet, because it's kind of, you know, week 1 and players are still kind of looking at Droll and going, oh, wait a minute, this is a thing that I need to be aware of? Yeah, it is. And I think that until players kind of get this figured out, yeah. Also, shout out to, you know, this deck actually getting Chaos Angel and Dissipator down here, because this card is actually really, really good. The fact that you are able to kind of climb up and access, you know, these 2 power cards actually will win you a lot of games. I will say for Dragon Link's innovations that it kind of has to deal with and evolve for here, the deck, as long as it runs into a good string of light and darkness matchups, it's usually going to have a pretty strong showing overall. So I got to give it up. I think that we will continue to see this deck, maybe not in such a large capacity, but as long as, you know, Dragon Link has, you know, the ability to combo up and still do its thing, it's going to be something that you're going to have to be aware of actually existing in the metagame. Next up here, we have Sprite Adventure. We're playing 50 cards. You know, I've seen some people talking about Fallen of Argios out here being something, another extender for the deck. Problem is it doesn't have Sprite in the name, which kind of hinders a little bit of the deck's developments. And I will say that we have not really seen the adventure build sticking around all that much. I do think that the adventure build does add some pretty big power into the pool of things that you can actually have access to. You do need to be aware, you do need defensive options right now. You can't just, do full Sprite combo and kind of expect to get away with things, because, now that Nibiru, Droll, and, the rest of the good cards are kind of running around in the format, you do need to have more defensive options and things that you can kind of produce to do your thing. I mean, speaking of Droll, this deck is also taking advantage of it. Effect Veilers, Ghost Ogres, and these and Imperms. Interesting ratios for the two ofs. I don't think the Duelist wanted to really push the bill and try 60. Honestly, 60 in this format might not be the best thing. Also, Avermax down here. I will say, right now in this format, Avermax has kind of gotten a little bit stronger. If you can essentially establish this, I think you'll probably win a lot of your matchups. So a lot more things to really consider out here, but this build has gotten very strong. Next up here, we have Rika Sono Avalon. We are playing the little Preda Plant Spider Orchard. I'm actually kind of happy to see that this is doing its thing. One immediate big thing that catches my eye down here is we are citing the Thurion package. Now, this is not a bad thing, all right? Actually, they're trying to make this deck be as consistent as it actually can be for this stage in the format. I actually understand citing this, because you want the Rika package kind of be at full power. The other thing, I guess you could make an argument for would be, do I really need 3 Loki? But I would say that the logic is you do want this to be the committed normal sum if you don't end up seeing the unexpected die, so that, you can start the full combo with this. All right. So a lot of things to really understand with that, but Sunseed Loki, as much as we give it crap, and we do want to put it to 2, with the way heavier hand trap ratios out here, watching this get ashed, and you're like, oh, well, I just got cut off of, full Sun Avalon combo. This is great. Still being able to reverse engineer into this is still kind of important. So outside of that, I don't see anything else really too crazy. I do like the cross-out detonators down here for defensive options, but yeah, there's not a lot else to really consider for this. I think the deck still pretty much plays itself out. There's not a lot else to really consider here. Still one of the better decks in the format, I feel like. Next up here is 3 Big Ball. Yep. Looking at this deck, well, let's be honest here. You really didn't want your opponent to play the game, all right? There was no ifs, ands, or buts about that, all right? You had triple Gozen, triple Rivalry, triple Skill Drain, and triple There Can Only Be One. Let's throw triple Punishment in here as well. Your opponent was never, ever, ever getting the chance to play the game. That's what I'm looking at here. This is Nope Turbo. And to continue on with Nope Turbo, we are in fact having access to the anti-spell fragrances down here as well. And of course, kind of wrap it up, you're playing Lord of the Heavenly Prison. One thing that I think people might not like all that much is we are only playing 2 Conquistador, but the deck needs to grind. It's kind of like the unfortunate part of the format right now is you have to kind of sacrifice certain aspects of this deck because, the Golden Lord himself will probably be doing a lot of the cleanup, and this deck really is not trying to grind game. Its entire purpose is to lock up your opponent and not let them play the game. Because honestly, if you sphere mode their big board, you've taken away a majority of their resources, which means that they can't effectively play the game anymore. So that's one big thing to really consider, but this is beautiful. Brings a tear to my eye. Next list here, we actually have another Rika Sun Avalon list. You see more hand traps being packed in here, which is fine. A lot more. We are playing the 1 Lone Fire Blossom so that we can actually do the toggle resource plays. Go ahead and do our thing. And we do see the package being cited down here. Again, I'm glad to see that multiple players kind of came to the conclusion of, citing the Boreas, the Regulus, and the Disc Coliseum as a side-in package. It's not really... I haven't paid much attention to Rika Sun Avalon. you know, combo innovations out here. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like, the deck is still very strong at the end of the day. You know, the extra things that you can bring into this do feel incredibly good at the end of the day, but you gotta leave it to the innovations out here and for the massive consideration of what you can actually kind of flow on in to the deck. So overall, that is your breakdown out of this event. A lot of cool stuff, and that's actually what I'm happy about. So please leave a comment down below what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.